Hey everybody, I'm here with two of my favorite people, two fantastic real estate agents that really know this North Atlanta area really well, and it's Susan Jasper and Leah Riess, and they've come here today I want to ask them some questions. I want to know what's going on in the market. And so, Susan, tell me a little bit about what do you think is going to happen as everybody's kind of getting ready for spring, right? I know a lot of people like, I'm going to wait and list my house in the spring. First of all, is that a good idea? Second of all, what do they need to be thinking about for the spring market?
I think so much has changed. You know, it's hard to believe that we're now 3 to 4 years past the 21, 22 prices that were outrageous, and the way people were just slapping their houses on the market and they were selling. What we're seeing now, the spring market has matured. We're actually seeing buyers that are more informed, they're more selective, and they're being really intentional about where they're placing their offers. So it's very important for people to understand that we've had time to adjust to these shifting interest rates, and it's time to get really serious about prepping your house for sale. Mm-hmm. Buyers, when they come into a house,
get ready now to prep for spring.
Exactly.
That's great.
And buyers right now, because they have more to choose from, they're being extremely selective, and they want a presentation of the home. They want to make sure that enough is done to the home that they're not going to have to spend a whole lot of money. And so prepping your house as a seller this year is more important than ever. So if you think your house needs paint, it probably needs paint before you put it on the market. If you think something's outdated, it's outdated. And in many cases, when you're looking to sell your home, spending a little money on lighting fixtures and redoing, the paint throughout to be more neutral is so important, and that's where we come in play. We actually have a stager on staff and things that comes with us.
How do people take that? Because I mean, you go in there and you're coming in with a new fresh set of eyes, and I'm living in my cave, so to speak, and it smells and feels a certain way. How do you approach that with the customer to say, hey, I really think we need to we need to take that pink wall down? Or how does that work?
Well, we're lucky to have someone on staff that comes in who's an expert and is educated in the field.
So then it's not you telling them
exactly.
It's the expert.
That's really nice.
Our expert suggests that you do X.
Exactly. It makes it a lot easier and we also, neither one of us will say that we are the know-it-all when it comes to that. So we like having her on staff, and it makes the process a little easier. But I think that's where it comes into play is so many people have so much equity built up in their home, and whether they go get a small HELOC or they get a small loan from a small bank, it might pay off to do that, because what we're seeing is if it's not done, it's going to sit on the market, and the longer your house sits on the market right now, because it's not priced right or because those things aren't done, the less you're going to get for your house. So we're talking in some cases, only getting 90% of your list price, and that's even after dropping it if you don't price it right.
So tip-top houses are getting tip-top pricing. Right. I've had several deals lately where they're paying over the listing price because the house was in tip-top condition. So y'all seen some of that?
Yes, and especially in North Fulton. I mean, this area is still one of the #1 areas to live in, and you've got a quality of life that's so much better, so it's super popular. But here, you still have to have your house ready to go in order to get that,
So Leah, how do you price a house?
Well, that's tricky, because if you price it too high, as Susan said, it's going to sit. So, in North Fulton...
Should you price it too low and hope it goes up?
Well, there's a strategy there, because you can price it on the lower side and hope for multiple offers. But, considering you've got to look at the market around you, you've got to get a comparative market analysis, look at your comps and study them. You've got to know what's going on around you, what actives you've got, what you're competing with, and then price it accordingly. And you also need to consider the condition of the home, just like Susan said. Just knock out the things that need to be done, because we want fewer red flags in a buyer's eyes as possible to get top dollar for that.
So how do you start that market analysis? I mean, do you use FMLS, or how do you do that? You do appraiser, call appraiser?
We do. We luckily have an appraiser on staff, so we kind of get the comps together, and then we have him confirm whether we're on track or not. So it's really important to do that. I love him as a resource. Mm-hmm. But we collect comps from FMLS, from the area. We usually start within the neighborhood and then kind of branch our way out if we need to get more comps.
All right, so what do you do with the guy that wants more for his house than you think it's worth?
Well, that's a great question because that's happening lately. So we basically have the statistics. As Susan said, we've got these chart master reports to show the homes that were listed on the high side took longer to sell and ended up with less than what we would have recommended going in. So it's kind of showing them the stats and
You're
showing
educating them
right.
to the fact that so why do most people, is that, I mean, I always say every king lives in his own castle, right? And you always think that your place is worth more than the next person's
Yeah,
place.
because we do too. I mean, we all do.
Y'all are that way too?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
It's
it's not just
educating
me.
them. It's
Yeah.
showing them the numbers, and that's why it's so important to have these chart master numbers on, right at our fingertips, so that we can show them what the actual data is, so that we can price it accordingly. Because you're right, everybody thinks that their house is worth more than it is worth, for sure.
So do you take that listing at a higher price, even if they're adamant about it? Or
Well,
do
what
you
we do is we give
say,
them.
no,
we like to
you
give
know
them,
what, I think you're crazy and it's not going to sell.
We like to give them options. Okay, well, if you list at this price, then according to data, it will probably sell here. If you list at this price, then it will probably sit for a little bit. And if you're okay with that, then we're okay with that too. It's just, we like to give our,
Because every now and then
clients
you get
options,
lucky,
yes.
right?
But we do try to encourage them to list where it should be or a little bit on the low side so that we can get potential multiple offers.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm hearing a lot, and we're experiencing a lot of people falling out of the market during due diligence time. What are y'all seeing out there, and what are you hearing? Because it seems like it's a little better now than it was back in, say, December. But are you seeing still some of that? What's the stats on that?
We actually had a meeting about this yesterday at our office, and we are seeing very high rates of people backing out of contracts. It's almost 50% last month. And the reason has to be that there's so much more to choose from out there right now. And we're still, buyers are understanding again that they want to make sure the value's there. So let's say they have the inspection and something comes up that's wrong, and the seller won't negotiate to have
Needs a
that
new
done. They just
roof,
walk
needs
out.
a new heating and air
Right.
conditioning system, and they go, God, it's $20,000 or whatever. Right?
And we also have roofs coming into play because there's a lot of insurance companies that won't insure roofs that are over 15 years old. So you've got a lot of big ticket items right now. So many of the mechanicals, like the HVAC systems, are now outdated because they can't get the refrigerant anymore.
Right.
So there's just some big things coming into play. So as a seller, if you know going in that you have an old roof, you have an HVAC system, you've got to be prepared mentally that that might come up. So,
Are those the two main things you're seeing, the roof and the HVAC, or what other items are you seeing?
Just I think the fact that there's more on the market, and people, due diligence periods are longer now than they used to be during the craze. And so if you go under contract on a Monday and it's 7 days, well, they're going to have something to choose from that next weekend too.
You know what I think as well? I think people are still waiting for interest rates to drop.
Well, let's talk about that. So what do you think's the magic number?
Well, you're the professional here,
No,
but
but
hey,
what do you think your people will go,
I think we
hey,
have
I'm
to
in.
educate people that we are not going to see 2s and 3s anymore. Am I correct?
That's my opinion.
I personally think they're just waiting to get into the upper to mid 5s. Do you
I
think
would
we're
say-
right around 6 right now?
Yeah,
Over?
we're there.
Yeah.
We're there. I'm waiting on a number right now to see if we can't get there a little bit more. But unfortunately, the economy typically has to do worse for the rates to go down, right? Economy's suffering, so they're lower. The bond market's coming down because they're worried about it. If the market's doing good, then rates have really no reason to come down. So that's kind of what you hate being in my, a little bit. I want to stimulate the market, but at the same time, I want people to have a job, right? So there's some of that going on, and I think that's gonna kind of hang around for a little bit. A lot of experts believe that once we get the tax rebates, we kind of get into the economy a little bit, get a new Fed person by this summer, maybe there'll be some movement for lower rates. But I think if you can lock something down with a 5 in front of it, you got to take advantage of it.
Right.
That's my opinion.
It's just keeping the dialogue going with them and just being educated with the numbers and all. They just need to understand what they're up against.
So do you see a lot of people that are locked in with the rate and they're just friends of yours and they're saying, hey, I'm going to stay put. I'm going to remodel my house. I'm not going to move because I don't want that higher pay. Are you hearing that?
Some.
Absolutely. Yeah, very often, especially people who are living in a home that's probably too big for what they need at this point because they're empty nesters. They're just sitting tight, waiting for things to change on the interest rates. Because in many cases, like you said, the payment on something that's going to be, half of what they have now is going to be greater than where they're at.
So tell me about Lake Lanier. Y'all do some business up there. What's going on at Lake Lanier? Is it a first home market, a primary home market? Is it still a secondary home market, or what are you seeing?
We're seeing a combination of things, right?
I feel like a lot of the homes that have been secondary homes are turning into people's primary residence. I'm finding a lot of,
they're
people
moving
from
up. They're like, I had it as a
Roswell.
second, now I'm living
Exactly.
here. Kids are gone or whatever.
And then you've got the Forsyth County senior tax exemption, which is one of the best in the state. So you've got
Does
that
Dawson
going.
have the same thing?
They have a good senior tax exemption as well. It's not quite
Better
as
than
good as
Fulton.
Forsyth.
Yes.
So what are the prices on Lake Lanier right now? Are they down a little bit, or are they maintaining? Or is it a good time to buy on Lake Lanier?
They're down right now. I don't know the percentage at the moment, but they are down, and we're seeing more homes on the market than we've seen in a long time on the lake. And it's kind of that pre-spring push when people are trying to get people who want to spend the summer at the lake in. But we're also seeing a lot of new construction. There's actually a 55 plus neighborhood going in. It's on the in Forsyth County, but it's closer to Gainesville, called Society at the Lake. And they're going to have a combination of individual single-family homes, condos, and townhomes. But it's going to be a 55
lake
plus
access?
There's going to be I don't know how many slips, but they have a marina there as well.
Community dock.
And there's also another brand new subdivision going in called Ascent. That's an O'Dwyer subdivision that's going to have its own, I think, 22 slips. And I think the homes start around $9 to $1 million.
I've often told people I think Lake Lanier is going to be the central city park of all of North Atlanta. It might be 15, 20 years from now, but to be on that lake and to have access to that lake is going to be like you really, really got something,
Yeah, because you've got a moratorium on docks, so you can't put another dock there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, ladies, thank y'all for coming by.
Thanks for having us,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Spreading the
Appreciate
good
it.
word on us. And if you're looking for a really good real estate team to help you figure out what you need to do next, these two ladies can help you out. So appreciate y'all sitting in with us.